nice example of a refectory table here, carved in about 1600. Actually came from the Earl of Glencoe, or Lord Inchcape. On the top was a cream separator, early 18th century. We've actually seen footage of this particular joint bench, or long bench seat. It's a late 17th century one. But no commentary was made at that time. Either side, a couple of rather nice chairs. In the upstairs museum of the birthplace, incidentally Shakespeare's birthplace would have been 3 homes originally, which was knocked through into one. And whereas we have a very high cathedral ceiling above us, it would have been another floor there at one time, one of the houses. This particular item of furniture is a very fine Gothic standing chest or a cupboard and dates back to 1560. Just an interesting point about the measuring vessel on top. King Henry VII, back in the about the year 1500, was rather annoyed at the fact that you could get short measure at a lot of the alehouses or taverns, and so he set up a court of ways whereby every measure had to be measured against the standard measure and have the stamp, the royal stamp, put on with the quantity that it holds. In this case, it's 2 gallon. But anything that didn't comply was immediately destroyed. So it was in the landlord's interest to keep his measuring devices accurate. As we pan around here, a very well-known bust of William Shakespeare. Of course, we'll never know what he really looks like until the general resurrection. Pan around here to an oak wainscot chair, about the year 1610. Very finely carved, no obvious symbolism, a number of leaves and perhaps further leaves, but certainly a very nice example, beautifully polished. As we come underneath the oriel window, which is a well-known window that projects another item from a church, a credence table or an altar table. This dates back to the 17th century. It's a drop leaf table with a gate leg, and it has a drawer underneath. Rather nice carvings, kept in very good condition. Here we've got a finely carved Warwickshire chest, sometime in the 16th century. Rather nice carvings, a single plank top. Across here to a rather small, as joint stalls go, quite low. From the time of Cromwell, about 1640. The only time in recent history when England didn't have a monarch on the throne, 11 years back in the mid-17th century. We pan around now, we've got an early 17th century plank chest. And over here near the coin cabinet, a joint stall. Quite an old one, going right back to about 1500. Again from the Cromwellian period, a rather nice upholstered or reupholstered settle or settee, dated about 1645. These items of furniture would certainly fit the bill in many modern homes. At the rear of that one, a little bit later, in about 1660, this particular oak settle was made. They've been in the same material so that they match one another, especially in this location here in the end room of the birthplace. A little bit softer than most of the hard wooden furniture that we see. Over here in the second room of the museum upstairs in Shakespeare's Birthplace, we've got an early 17th century oak desk, finely carved, very nicely carved on the edges, iron hinges, with the lock still intact. At the back of it, I mentioned wainscot earlier on. Of course that's the skirting. Some of the wainscot was very high, and this is just an example of wainscot with the linen fold panels. As we swing around now, in this roped off area we have a fine collection of children's furniture and small chairs. And there a statue of William Shakespeare, the man himself, the bard, on top of an oak punch table. Quite clearly the grain of the oak can be seen there. That dates back to the 17th century. Every single piece of furniture is in almost mint condition. Very nice, very rare oak joint bench, dated about 1630. Very nice carving along the top rail, along the lower rails, and on the turned legs. Some of these firebacks make interesting items of furniture. Many of them have got dates on. This one hasn't. It's actually been burnt off. It's good to see when they were made. Here we have a monk's oak bench. It's a seat and table, very practical. Some furniture manufacturers in Western Australia have actually taken to manufacturing them. Similar sort of thing. The top one side could be lifted up and used as a back for a bench, the other side as a table. And over here to the left of that, a Derbyshire chair, dated about 1660. Finely carved at the top. Not necessarily the most comfortable item of furniture without a cushion. We're now standing in the birth room, so called because Shakespeare was traditionally born in this particular room, or of course there's no proof of that. So in this roped off area here we have a Bible box down below. As already mentioned, it's where one keeps their valuable papers and is usually kept at the end or right next to the bed. So we move across. Rather nice example of a child's cradle. Fairly high fine oak joint stool, going back to 1600.